There was a player, I believe it's pronounced Ayana Morel.
Yes.
She was
Ayana is going. I'm glad you. Ayana is going to be. Nobody knows about Ayana. Ayana's coming from South Carolina, so they came. Ayana's a 4.5 GPA. So I'm going to. I see Sid shaking his head because we talk about the educational piece,
Right.
and she only has a JUCO and a D3.
That's insane.
Thank you. Thank you.
She was probably the most energetic player I saw. She never stopped. I mean, she just didn't stop. I was like, what? What did she eat or drink before this? She must have taken 50 Monsters or Red Bulls. She was like on fire. I mean, first one over here, first one back, rebound from the wing. I was like, God, she was doing everything. So she really, really stood out to me. Yeah, I mean, I could just keep going, but yeah, those few players I remember vividly just because lasting impression. All the way on the plane ride home, I was thinking about those players. I was like, God, they were really good.
I think it's safe to say Ayana has increased her stock after this camp. Like you said, for her to be unknown, like in talking to her mom, she's still new to basketball. She's still learning, and I was like, oh. So again, we start talking about upside, and we start talking about upside like she has it. And there's so many other players like Sid. Who else? You both of you guys put out a list on Twitter that you all that stood out. Like you said, KJ, a number of these kids. So when you tweeted out, a list of kids that stood out.
Mm-hmm.
Sid, who was it? And I love that. And I've seen it over and over. And I'm sure you guys did too. During the day, there was some chippiness. Like some of those young ladies were like, "You're not better than me," and maybe they didn't say it to that person verbally, but they were trying to show like, "I'm just as good as you or better than you," and they're trying to let their play distinguish that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, EJ, what wings stood out to you?
Well, I mean, again, I got to go back to her for maybe third time, but I believe Ayana is a wing, correct? Is she? Would you say?
It's going to depend on her development. I feel like she's a stretch 4 right now.
Okay.
I feel like she's a stretch 4 because.
What do you think she'd be in? What do you think she'd be in college, though?
Depends on the level. If she stays D2, she's probably going to be a 4 or 5. If she stays D2. Now, if she goes up, we're talking about Ayana Morel, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So, boy, it just depends on where she goes.
Okay.
To be honest with you, I'm going to say this. I don't want nobody to jump on my head on this one. Like, she has just a D3 and a JUCO offer right now. I'm sure that's going to change. Sure. I'm sure there's going to be D2s like, who is that? Where is she? How can I get in touch? This is where it gets tricky, and both of you are going to understand this. She came out of nowhere. So you're going to have a slew of D2s and possibly some D1s, some low D1s come. The D2s are going to probably be on her ultra heavy because with D2s, a lot of times they stack their scholarships with academic money and athletic money. And with her being high academic, that in itself is going to elevate what she did this past weekend. Her situation will be interesting because you all will understand what I'm saying here. She's D2, no question, but she could sneak into a D1 late. Now, we're in a time with the transfer portal. I wouldn't recommend that because that waiting late could turn into April, May for that. In my mind, I'm not here to tell anybody what to do or not to do. For a person like that, if she's still developing, I would take that D2 route, play well, and then if it gets to the point where you're a D1 prospect, they're going to find you. Like if you're dominating D2, especially in the area she's at, like you got the SAC, you got Sunshine State, you got the Peach Belt, you got Conference of Carolinas, you got the Gulf. Those 5 D2 conferences in itself, if you're all conference there, your phone is going to ring. That would be mine. Listen, we're just talking. I'm not saying that's what you need to do. that's what I envision in my mind that will probably happen. Because, like I said, right now we're not even talking D2s right now. D3s is out there like, can we get you? Can we lock you up? As they should, like, because they get that. That's a thief in the night coming in. Outside of maybe EJ, you'll feel me out on this one, especially with our grades. Outside of NYU, then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, they haven't lost in 2 years. So that's different. Like NYU can beat a number of D2, 70% of D2 teams and some D1s because they're that good. But it's a high academic. They're in the UAA. To be honest, if it was that, Coach, if you're listening, I know we talk on a regular basis. That would be one I'd be like, okay, 4.5 GPA, like, because we're talking academics. And then Mom was like, how much a precedent she puts on that. In my mind, I'd be like, that's not a bad fit. To be honest with you, like, it just depends on what the family and the kid wants. But I wouldn't rule that out. Me personally, I wouldn't. But there'd be, EJ, like, there'll be PSAC schools that would love to have her. Like, there's so many options for that young lady as well.
I feel like she just did everything she was supposed to do. And then, of course, I touched on her already, but Ayanna Morel from South Carolina, I believe.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
she again just stood out to me so much, and I believe that she's very, very underrated.
Yeah, and so the thing about Ayanna, and I think you guys caught this, that she's, tough, grindy rebounder. But when I saw her step out and start knocking down 15 and 25, I was like, okay, I'm going to use an NBA comparison, and you guys might laugh at this one. Shawn Marion.
Okay.
Wow. Shawn Marion. And I say that because of her shot kind of being unorthodox, but it goes in.
Mm-hmm.
It goes in. So as me and my good friend Madre Allen, who was, the director of operations for this, he came up with the name, and I was like, Matrix. He said Shawn Marion, and I just said the Matrix after that, and we both laughed because sometimes when we're watching these events, we compare the NBA and WNBA players as well, and I thought that was a good comparison. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to step out and say this with no problem. She's going to have a number of D2s after her, a number. Because, I mean, she was, 6'1", 6'2", with a 4.5 GPA? I can't say this enough. Having those type of grades, and people will take a chance on you. Number one, you can play. Number two, you can see the development because of the mom was like, she's still learning how to play. She just started playing. I was like, what? I was like, oh, yeah. If I was a coach, which I have no desire to be a college coach, but if I was a college coach, I would probably bring her in and redshirt her freshman year. And we're going to develop, and hone those skills that she already has. And by the time, the way the NCAA is set up right now, I'd bring her in, let her play 8 to 10 games, so she plays only 20% of those games, and redshirt her. I would redshirt her. And that's not saying that's a slight. That's excitement right there to say, listen, I want you to see what this is. Let you get your feet wet, and then we're going to go back in the lab so you can understand the speed, the difference in the game from high school, because I fully expect by this time next year, you are going to be close to being an impact player.
Coach,
that would be me.
Coach, as long as you continue to add, the educational piece, because everyone's curious about either NIL or everyone's curious about what can the colleges offer and when, and so everyone's kind of curious about how that goes, and everyone's kind of worried about getting offers and then the offers disappearing because conditions change, that kind of thing. So and what it's like with the transfer portal. So continue to have the education piece, and they're bringing it, and you're picking the right people, you're picking the right trainers and everything else. And so I really like the camp. I really like the way it's headed.
Appreciate it. EJ.
Yeah. I think really purpose fulfilled when it comes to the camp, because the players who maybe didn't have a name or, weren't, notable players, not ranked, not this or whatever, could come out of there, saying, I really played well. I got looks. I got noticed. I went up against these great players. I held my own. And for the players that came in that are top-ranked players came to compete against other top-ranked players. So you did a great job bringing in, just the talent pool was excellent. I thought it was well-balanced. It was great. Players from all over the country, so many different states. I think the coaching was impeccable. You had some really hard coaches that pushed the girls, and it just felt like it was just a highly competitive atmosphere, and nobody was walking around to say, I don't belong, or like with their head down. I think that the competition level was just great. So yeah, A+.
Hey man, number one, I want to thank you guys. I mean, I thought it was important to have people like yourselves at this event because I'll take it from my good friend in Louisiana that he wants his kids to be seen, and even like EJ said, we talk and we keep in contact and all of that. It's more than just me to say, hey, this kid can play. Hey, this kid can play. But when the committee starts saying this kid can play, it hits different. Like, yes, I appreciate every coach that trusts me, but there's coaches that trust Sid. There's coaches that trust you, EJ, as well. And when the committee starts saying, yeah, she's bona fide, now the people that are watching is like, okay, she must be something. And it's not, how can I say this? It's not, oh, he's being biased towards her. And that's not the case for none of us because there's no skin in the game for us to be biased. It's just what we see. And, I want to start off by thanking you guys. Shout out to my guy, Madre Allen, like, the director of operations. Like, this doesn't go without him. As much as we talk about team, I can't do this by myself. There's no way I can do this by myself. So, yeah, your Kamora Moores, your Journey Bryants, their play is going to speak for themselves. But, the young lady from South Carolina, the young ladies from Louisiana, and I want to say this as well before we leave. Anybody that didn't get mentioned, do not take that as a slight. There's no way we could have mentioned close to 100 kids. We do have you in our notes. And when coaches call and ask us, we can go down the list and say, hey, take a look at this kid. So I understand every parent and every kid wants to hear their name on this podcast to feel validated. I don't want you to think you're slighted because we see you. A lot of times when I tweet, I end it with a hashtag, you never know who's watching.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say you never know who's watching, you never know if EJ's watching. You never know if Sid's watching. And you guys bring such a different array of talent. Like Sid, you are the master of watching film, bro. You make me tired with that watching the film, bro. Man, I applaud what you do. You and Chuck with 5 State Hoops. I appreciate what you do. The game needs you. EJ, you're considered part of this as well. I mean, for you to, Sid, you pay attention. Like, we have been in so many of the same places before we even met each other, but it was a respectable admiration for what we both do. Like, I watch what you do. You watch what I do. Same with you, Sid, as well. All of us are watching what we all do in this field. And it's an admiration and respect. And I'd like to say that, like, I respect and admire both of you guys for what you do. And you guys do an outstanding job. And I'll be the first to give you both your flowers, man. Definitely.
Thank you so much.
You know what I'm saying? So when I say it's a respected admiration for the work is the work, plain and simple. The work is the work. And all these kids need people like you in this game to continue to push women's basketball forward, high school, college, WNBA. Like, man, you guys keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing an excellent job. Excellent job, man.
You too, Coach. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you all. Man, that's going to wrap it up for tonight. September 12th, 2026.
Let's go.
Date's already there. We're going to make it happen again. We will see you guys again next year. I want to thank you guys so much, and we're going to wrap it up. And again, this is only the beginning for a number of you guys. I can't stress, there's no slights to anybody for not being mentioned. Parents, do not take offense if you were not mentioned. That was not intentional. Understand that we do see you. I want to stress that and to keep working, because at some point you're going to be seen if you stay the path. And as Sid would like to say, and all of us as well, if you take care of them grades, it will work itself out. Because if you don't, you're going to lose opportunities. I can't stress that enough, where I've had coaches come to me and be interested in kids, but they can't take them because they don't have the required GPA or possibly the required test score. Do not cut yourself out of that. And I want to harp on that, and I mean it. Like, we can only do so much, but when you get to the table in front of that coach, you need to have your qualifications in order, or you're going to miss out. You're going to miss out. And I just don't want that for any of you all. I want to see all these success stories. I want to see the committed edits of you all being proud of yourself for making it to the next level. We want to see all of that. And just don't limit yourself. And even if it is a situation where some mistakes are made, I also want to say this as well. Don't discount JUCO basketball either. JUCO is the second chance to get yourself right. And sometimes it's not even from an academic perspective. Sometimes it's still for you to develop to get to where you're trying to go.